Welcome to the City Council, Kennedale City Council Special Meeting, April 2nd, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Madam City Secretary, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Brad Horton, Mayor Pro Tem Kenneth Michaels,
Here.
Council Member in Place 1, David Glover,
Here.
Council Member in Place 2, Thelma Kobeck,
Here.
Council Member in Place 5, Jeff Navarez.
Here.
Everyone is present except the mayor.
At this time, could we rise for invocation and pledges allegiance?
Please pray with me. Father God, we are blessed to be on good in your blessed weekend, Lord. We just ask that you bless the city, and we are thankful, Lord, that you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, to us to be our Savior. We just ask that you bless every family in Kennedale and surrounding areas on Easter weekend. Keep everybody safe. Have everybody have a great time with their family. And we ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Moving on to our public comment. Mr. City Secretary, do we have anybody that signed up to speak?
No, sir, I don't have any speaker slips.
Thank you. On to regular session, reports and announcements. Does anybody on council have anything to report or announce? Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. We have no consent agenda. Line item C, items for individual consideration, discussion, and/or action. Line 1, potential land purchase of Lot 1, 2, and 3, Block 10, Oak Crest Addition, in the addition of Tarrant County, Texas, according to the map of the plat recorded in volume 388C, page 81, plat records of Tarrant County, Texas. Do we have any discussion about this?
Got a couple of questions if we can ask the city manager a few things. Yeah. Just kind of given the description here in the agenda, can you just kind of summarize, what this property is, the acreage, the zoning, and kind of how it's been used in the past?
Yeah, sure can. Currently is located on Oak Crest Drive, 7605, 7611, 6725, 24, and 25. Is currently where Red's Auto Salvage is located. Currently there are 3 parcels associated with those. All 3 parcels has been identified as salvage yards. Currently there's no occupation that's inside those lots. So it's currently unoccupied. It was brought to my attention that the owner of the property is wanting to sell it. During that conversation, we looked at the EDC purchasing that land. With that is roughly 18 acres associated with the 3 parcels if you combine all 3. The history of the property has been for probably the last 30 years, give or take, or I'm sorry, around 40 years, it's been a salvage yard. Prior to that, from my understanding, the history of it has been grassland, farmland, with nothing prior to that.
Okay. And what's the EDC's plan for the property?
For future land use, roughly, if you look at our comp plan or our future land use, one of the things that's been outstanding for a very long time was to come in and help get rid of the salvage yards. And what this does is, one, help us achieve that goal of absorbing the salvage yards and utilizing the property for future land use as grasslands. It could be used for parklands. And with that, within the 18 acres, 10 acres of it is usable, that's outside the floodway. Roughly about 7 to 8 acres is within the floodway. And that part, we believe, could be some really good parkland or grassland.
All right. And so if it's parkland or grassland, who would maintain these almost 18 acres?
It will be EDC. It
Uh,
will be the responsibility of the landowner, which would be E EDC.
So would we be paying a private company to go mow it, or are we paying Public Works to go mow it?
Most likely, we'll contract just like we do with all other services with the city of Kennedale.
All right. And do we have a plan for keeping the unhoused out of it? Yeah, there's a lot of tree cover down there by the creek. What's the plan for that?
Are you talking mainly for like the homeless around the creek, or are you talking about the buildings that are currently unoccupied, or both?
Let's just say the whole property.
Uh, Obviously, we have a police department that we utilize on a regular basis to patrol our properties along with other our communities within the city. At this point, I don't see anything outside of that. Obviously, we'll go in and make sure the buildings are secured, and we'll do a regular security checks on them, make sure they're safe and protected.
Okay. And what's the purchase price that we're proposing tonight?
1.5 million.
And how do we get to that number?
On several different communications with the landowner. I met with him and the mayor, Mayor Horton, roughly about 3 months ago. Mr. Sturgeon came in with the idea of looking at what can he do with the property. He had some companies that were interested in purchasing the property, and his concern was the zoning. It's zoned C1. They wanted to change it to either industrial or other outside storage. They had a company that wanted to come in and put a batch plant. That was one of the guys that was wanting to purchase the land. That's how the conversation came about of a possible purchase by the EDC.
All right. So did we do an appraisal on the property, a private appraisal?
I did not get a verified appraisal. I have had 4 realtors that have looked at the property on my behalf without charging it. 2 of them were commercial realtors locally. The minimum price that came in was a 2.4 million.
Interesting. So I looked at TAD because we didn't have any appraisals in the packet. And TAD had lot 1 valued at 363,000. Lot 2's at 160,000. Lot 3 was valued at 158,000. So TAD's got all 3 at like 681,000. So it feels like we're a little high on the price, but I think the most important question, given that it was a salvage yard for almost 40 years, is did we perform an environmental assessment?
We did not. Let me back up a little bit on the commercial real estate concept of it. With that, again, I did not get a formal report from them, and I did not ask them due to the costs associated with it. With that, there was several factors that they came into that 2.4 minimum price. And it was one, what's the use? What is the future use of that land? What are we looking at doing with it? Or what is what's your idea of what we're going to do? If it is coming in at just say regular parkland, they did indicate it'll be around the 1 million mark. However, if they come in and the idea is to utilize it for retail, commercial, or some type of future building of some sort, either say residential, commercial, whatever that case is, he said it would be a minimum of 2.4. So just to clarify, there's a lot of stipulations that can go in basically off the use of what we're going to use it for.
Okay.
With that environmental study was chose not to do so based off the history of the land being prairie land or farmland originally. The only commercial involvement with that land has been what's currently there, which is salvage yards. That's the only history that we know from the very beginning to where we are now. As we know, and what has been discussed with me, there's not been any contaminants that they're aware of that would cause a environmental study that need to be completed. With that, it is a salvage yard as you know, there's oil, gas, those type of contaminants that may be present. And obviously, we do know that because we've seen vehicles that's been stored there on that land. Knowing that at this point, we feel confident on the environmental part of it that we can move forward and be confident in the purchase and be able to control any possibilities that are ahead of us.
So we're confident in the purchase. So a couple of things. So as far as the land use, we're going to treat it as grassland, which you said the commercial appraiser said if you're going to use this grassland, it'd only be about $1 million. So we're still a little high on the price because we're not going to do anything. The EDC won't do anything with it. Again, going back to its use as a salvage yard for the last 40 years and skipping the environmental study, I got to be honest, I feel like we're just gambling with EDC funds at this point. I think if something were to be found there in the future, by us not doing the environmental study now, we don't really have a defense later on. So if something is found down the road, you got Apache next door who may also have some stuff coming under the ground, so to speak. I don't feel like we're in a good spot here, and it just feels like we're taking a big chance. We're spending $1.5 million now. The cleanup could cost millions more, and it's still just going to be grassland. So I would say this would be a purchase that's probably better left to the private sector and let them deal with the environmental impacts of it and the cleanup after that, if there is one.
Well, with that said, to give a little bit more feedback in reference to some of the environmental studies that have been completed over the years, and I'm going to say go back to 2006, there's been numerous studies that's been done on the water quality from TCEQ, FEMA, and other studies that indicated there's no contaminants involving that we can tell at this point dealing with anything with automotive contaminants. I'm not indicating there's not, but as what we can tell from previous studies from federal government entities is indicating that there's a higher probability that the land is clear. Again, there's been several studies and they continue to do those studies.
Right, but we could spend a few $1,000s and get a study done and have perfect confidence that the land is clear or not clear and pass on the purchase, but we didn't do that. So now we're taking the chance with EDC funds, which are, in a way, taxpayer funds because they come from sales tax. So I would just ask the council, if you were buying this with your own money out of your own pocket, would you buy this land without doing the environmental study? That's it. Thank you.
Well, with that said, also, I just want to add that for the EDC, it's also, I think that's their primary goal is to help economics within the city. I feel that this 18 acres is one of the most valuable piece of land in our city. We're surrounded by Interstate 820, 20 is in a very prime location for mixed use, mixed development, housing, retail, just about anything you can indicate. You can drive across this whole metroplex and you get it next to an interstate, you see major commerce. And I think 18 acres, and with at least 10 of it being extremely buildable, that value is at high demand. And I think we have an opportunity to take advantage of a position that sets the city up for success.
Any further discussion?
Maybe we can expand on a little bit of that with me, Daryl. So we're buying it for 1.2, correct? 1.5.
1.5,
Okay, so that's roughly 90,000 an acre,
roughly.
roughly. And then the acreage in that area especially in the last 10 years, would you agree it's roughly around 90,000 an acre? Usually like around 90 to 110 for 1.0 acreage on that side of town.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good deal. I understand Mr. Glover's numbers from the concern about the value of it from TAD. But that's a depreciated number, correct?
Correct. Now, with that said, we do have other property in that same subdivision. Currently, we had one property that came in at 200,000 per acre. We also have other property that came in at 400,000 per acre.
Okay. And if we do it by TAD's numbers, that comes to roughly like 39,000 per acre, which is extremely low for that, for a commercial property in that area.
That's correct. With four buildings.
Yeah. And what are some possibilities that we can do with the 16 acres? You were kind of jumping around with it, but is it possible that even the EDC can rent out those buildings temporarily while we figure out what to do with the property, or what are some potential of buying it? Why should we buy 18 acres over there?
Well, as always, we have options that are in front of us. I truly look at it that the plans that's been put in front of us from previous administration, previous EDC, previous council, we're able to accomplish the number one goal, and that's been the goal for a very long time. Just that by itself, I think, holds value of 1.5. Personally, that's just me. The EDC's goal is to invest in the city, and I think that fulfills a huge gap. I think one thing that we've had challenges with throughout our past is setting ourselves up for future success. And we've had that same challenges even since we've been in this role. And we have an opportunity to do exactly that. I think our possibilities of investing in that, it doesn't matter if it's the building, the land, parkland, grassland, whatever it is. One thing I think it's going to draw, once it's cleaned, it's going to draw attention to it by itself. I think there's value in that neighborhood. I think the neighborhood itself encourages us and wants us to do this, just for the simple fact of cleaning their neighborhood up, which has been a voice throughout the years for Oakcrest. And I think they want us to do that. And I think they're encouraging us to do that for the residents that I've talked to.
And so, like you were talking about how EDC, this is prime land to do what their goal is to do. We purchase other property around it, correct?
That's correct. We have.
And we have some potential property around that as well as future property we can gobble up, correct?
That's correct.
So what would be the advantage of EDC buying up a lot of land in one area for the future and developing that area?
Just to be point blank, we get to control the land.
Mm-hmm.
We get to control the redevelopment.
Sure.
We're able to partner with other entities. We're able to partner with other developers and come in and create what the vision of the city is for that area. And for the neighborhood itself, the ones that actually live there, they have actually begged for us to clean that area. And we have an opportunity to take 18 acres and to do exactly that, not including some of the land the EDC and the city already owns in that same development.
So potentially we can come in with like a power chip. We have all these kind of different properties. We can say, hey, development, we can do like a huge shopping mall with living spaces around it. We can do a walking shopping mall. The potential is there because we own the majority of the land around there.
Well, what it does, it gives us, it lets us get in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us an opportunity to go out and seek commercial development. It gives us the opportunity to seek redevelopment that specialize in exactly that. We can look at the news and we see it all the time in Fort Worth and Dallas where developers come in and they have a plot of land and they redevelop the whole land. Something that may be at minimum value, they come in and they maximize that value. And I believe this plot of land gives us that opportunity to, one, open the door for Kennedale. We have something available that one of the number one things in the Metroplex is needed is land. If it's in floodplain or if it's not, they build in it all the time. And I think this gives us an opportunity to set the citizens and to set the city up for future development and success.
Let's take Mr. Glover's concerns, because I think he has a right to be concerned, and I respect him for that. But worst case scenario, let's say it is as bad as he thinks it is. Would that deter a developer from buying the land? Was that,
Speaking with the realtors, they said, no, it's not. They truly indicated it's about location, where the property is at, what's associated around that property, and what is the potential. Everything always went back to what's the potential? What can we do with it? And more importantly, what's the vision of that land? What do you want it to be? What is the city visioned that area to be? Are you want it residential or you want it industrial? He threw all kinds of questions, right? And I told him they're all up in the air. We're interested in all of it. We don't want to close a door. We want to open a door. And he said, this is a great door to have.
and there'd be no responsibility on us because they would have to clean it up for that development.
We're not required by law, and I'll ask Mr. Carvin to help make sure I'm saying that right. Currently, we're not required by law to do an environmental study. However, if we sell it, there's a lot of title companies that come in that will require it, that would want it to make that purchase. At that time, I think that's when we should go in, and whatever developer or redevelopment we're wanting to do, we take the time and we take the effort to go in and make sure it's where it needs to be. I've had some, and I have no true answer to this in a sense. This is just what's been told to me. At the level of investment we're doing, even on a worst case scenario, they still believe we're going to come on top, whatever that environmental study could be, even on a worst case scenario.
How much do one of those cost?
Well, when Mr. Riley comes up, he can probably help, but I'm going to say roughly around 50,000.
Okay. And then is there any indications around the area? Because UTA has done a water study of their TCQ, just did theirs 6 years ago, I believe, 4 years ago. Is there any indications that would make you uncomfortable that there could be possibly be an issue over there?
Well, to Mr. Glover's point, we don't know what happened 70, 80 years ago, right? But with that said, with the studies that have been done, it gives us the indication that there has not been any wrongdoing. At this point, I don't see anything that points a finger to anything, that anything has been done illegal on that land. Obviously, I always want to believe that everybody does the right thing, right? But that's not always reality. Going out and looking at the property, looking at what's there, some of the comments have been made also, which I'm not an environmental person by any means. Some of them have said, if you see grass growing, that is a very good sign. So I went out there and there's a lot of grass growing. So I take it that's a good sign that something can live in the soil, for what that's worth.
And lastly, the EDC is spending, I mean, this is pretty much their savings at this point, but we're not taking any loans. This is not bankrupting the EDC, and potentially those coffers can be filled pretty quickly because of all the 380 agreements we've been doing the last couple of years and the increase in sales tax revenue.
I do feel our financial status is in a good state to be able to make this purchase. We're looking to put a $500,000 down payment with a loan of $1 million, and that will be a private loan with Mr. Sturgeon with that, with the payout in 3 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Hull, just a couple of quick questions. Actually, one. So what kind of contamination would render this property, assuming that we purchased it, what kind of contamination would render this property basically a total loss?
I'm sorry, I really don't have an answer for that. Something green that's glowing, I really don't know.
A lot of that would be something like radiation or pesticides or something like that, something that's seeped into the soil.
And I mean, we know because it's been an auto salvage for decades that there's going to be fuel, there's going to be transmission fluid, there's going to be oil. We know that.
That's correct.
But it would have to take something critical that we assume would have shown up before now.
That's our belief, is generally there's a couple of different steps within environmental study. Phase one basically is coming out and looking at it and just kind of doing the scratch surface and seeing what's there. With that, pretty much everybody said, yeah, if you got fuel or oil or that type of contaminant that we already know that's there, that will trigger a phase two, which the phase two is where you do more of a boring and down into the ground to see what else may or may not be there. At this point, the only thing that we're aware of would be some type of automotive fluid of some sort. With that said, the environmental people that I've spoke with has indicated that's really not the concern. Their concern is more if, say, there's a gas station there that had underground gas tanks or fuel or oil, those type of items that's been buried and stored. Those were the ones that have the major concerns. And they said even at that point, generally you fix it by going and digging that out, taking that contaminant out, removing it, then your area is clean. That was basically the common answer that I got from environmentalists.
So historically, do we have any reason to believe that any of that would be a concern?
At this point, the people that I've spoke with has lived in that community their whole life has indicated they have never seen anything like that. Again, it is a salvage yard, and we understand that that's going to drop onto the ground. Some of the requirements they have is they have to take the motor out before they go store it. Doesn't mean everything, right? But if they were following their own policy, the hopes is that contaminant is not to the point where we have to go out and do that. Talking to the environmentalists again, they've indicated at worst, you may have to go in, clean that area, remove it, and it's clean.
Any more discussion? Does anybody would like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the the land purchase of lots 1, 2, and 3, Block 10, Oak Crest Edition in Tarrant County, Texas.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Councilman Rivera, second by Councilmember Colbeck. All in favor, raise your hands. Any opposed with the like sign? Motion carries 3-1. Moving on to the next order of business, Kennedale Fire Department contract providing fire and EMS service to Tarrant County ESD District 1, fiscal year 2026. Open the floor for discussion.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. I think I'll just start with giving you a little brief history of where we're at with the contract and what it's been in the past years. It's always been a reoccurring annual renewal contract starting with October 1 and for this contract, it's October 1 of 2025. Part of the reason that it's been delayed is or we're in 6 months into this fiscal year with the contract, is it was totally revised from the Tarrant County ESD district. To step back a year, this was just simply a county area that was the contract was under the Tarrant County Fire Marshal's office, and they went to the board of directors. About June of last year, it started becoming a paid fire department. And what has happened as of yesterday is they now have over 100 firefighters working for the unincorporated parts of the county. And the smaller departments, smaller cities such as Rendon and Eagle Mountain have been, taken over is kind of a rough word, but they are now a paid fire department through Tarrant County ESD. The wording in this contract was quite elaborate. The verbiage was too much in between all the various cities that are part of this agreement, this contract. We had a lot to say about it and going through our own attorneys, and it was a lot of back and forth. So the months went by as each board meeting that they had every month, there were discussions of just what they were going to pay out for responses and figuring out how to say how much an ambulance transport was worth, for example, or a fire response to a certain area. Along with that, our mapping area that we are being asked to respond to has increased in size from what it was the previous year and the previous years before that. It always stayed the same as a small triangle area just off of our parkway into the county, bordered by Mansfield, Rendon, and then us, of course. This is now expanded down further to the south, and I'm told the reason they're requesting us to cover more of that area is because of Rendon's station is not where they used to be all the time, where they've purchased property to operate a fire station out of is about a mile further south. And so they're just asking us to consider covering additional area. So now the contract has come through our attorneys and all the verbiage has been cleaned up and really a much cleaner look, and all the various cities have agreed to with the amounts that they're going to fund for our responses. So you have that contract in your packet. The biggest changes are the fact that they are now a paid fire department. And just to tell you, as of yesterday, Rendon Fire Station is being run by Tarrant County ESD, and it is one of 7 stations in the unincorporated areas. And this is the area that would respond, or the station that would respond to that area that we cover, or we help cover. They're going to have 11 firefighters at that station, and which will include a battalion chief, engine, a tender, brush truck, 2 ambulances, and an air and light truck, a utility type truck. So with that, as we negotiated the contract, the funding that's provided is the same to all the departments that do get funding from Tarrant County ESD. We have asked that what I want to do is not respond our ambulance to this county area. I want to keep the ambulance in my city for our needs. But the fire truck will go as a first responder to start that EMS care. And then Rendon will be transporting or be responding to that same area to handle the ambulance transport. That gets a little tricky and turns into more of a mutual aid type agreement when their ambulances are busy and they don't have one available. So one would come out of Everman, us, or Mansfield, somewhere to be able to transport that patient. So the other thing that has changed, we used to get, call them grants, additional monies to help fund equipment, communication equipment, or just whatever our needs would be. And actually, the most recent one that we got reimbursed on was the purchase of our ambulance. And so there won't be any grant type funding anymore. But with the contract, it's just a base fee of $25,000 that's provided. So really that kind of bounced all over, but that it is still a contract. For every response that we make to that mapped area, we report back to the ESD on what we responded to, address and what it was. And then they have a chart that figures out the the amount that they're going to reimburse to us for taking that call. And really, at this point, it's open for discussion and any questions you may have.
I've got a couple of questions
Okay.
just to clarify. So is this retroactive to October, or have we been under a contract, but this has been kind of an in transition contract, or?
Yeah, the contract from fiscal year 25 was not really in effect. It ended September 30th, and this new one was to begin, but they're going to honor the fact that we've already responded to several calls in that area. And so I'll be turning in, they already have those requests to be paid, but we have not received our base pay or for any responses. But if we approve this contract, which I'm recommending that we look at doing that, then they'll submit it and have those payments coming back to us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We are 6 months into the contract, so as we look at next year, fiscal year 27, it's something that we'll still be negotiating with them. And I also will be evaluating just how many more calls we ran to that area. How badly did that affect things in my own city? And those will be taken into play.
Chief, is there anything in the contract that gives you any pause or concern or anything you wish would have been changed?
Anything in the contract that gives me concern on what? I'm sorry.
Or anything you'd want to see changed in the contract? You mentioned
I think
it back and forth quite a
I
bit.
think we've made those changes already. There was a lot of areas that they wanted to make sure that we had our training, which we do, and that we fall under all the state standards, which we do. So a lot of that was cleaned up and actually taken out of there because we are a paid fire department as well, and we've got areas to follow.
And from a dollar amount standpoint, you're happy with what's being proposed in this contract to reimburse the fire department?
Yeah, it is. It's less than what the previous contract was for. Not a whole lot, but I'm happy with the fact that they have a spreadsheet that sticks to that dollar amount that's provided. Should it be a trash fire or a major accident, they have that spelled out on what is the payment for a fire apparatus to respond. If our ambulance were to do a transport, they have that all spelled out as well. If we don't transport the patient, we still get funding because we made that call. And then, of course, we would be billing through Emergicon for the transport through our own service. But what I'm encouraging the ESD to do, and what they've agreed to as well, is that ambulance will come out of Rendon to make the transport for us. Or it's their area to cover. We're just so much closer than what they are. So our engine goes and we can start the advanced life support care that may be needed until the ambulance gets there for the transport.
Thank you, sir.
One other question about the payments. So when those payments come in, where does that money go toward?
Previously, it would actually be labeled towards the communication equipment or EMS equipment, whatever, back to the department, and it was treated like a grant. They don't call it a grant anymore because, in a sense, that equipment could be labeled as belonging to the ESD. So now it's just that base flat fee amount that they're giving us just for signing the contract. And that would just go in the general fund. So it doesn't go towards anything but back to the city. And that's the same with all our responses as well. Fire responses and any EMS, the dollars that come in just go right back to the city, not to the fire department budget necessarily. And I'll just tell you that we report for each quarter. So we've gone 2 quarters already into the year, and we've had 13 EMS related calls that 10 of those we transported on. The fire calls were at 18 fire calls. And so I kind of expect that type of trend, even though there's added district in the mapping, we were still responding to some of those areas because Rendon wasn't available or staffed. But their staffing is much more increased, and honestly, I expect them to start covering a lot more of those responses. But currently, the contract calls for that increased mapping area, and then it will be renewed for October, in October when that rolls around. And at that time, we can say, oh, that mapping's too much, or we saw too many increase on calls and not really covering our city. And I want to be able to do that. That comes first.
We can make that adjustment throughout the contract. We don't have to wait to the end of it. If we feel that we're getting overburdened, we can call a special meeting and make that adjustment.
And that's listed out in the contract as well, that we can. And they could do the same to us. If I'm not responding to 80% of the calls, they'll question, well, what's going on with that or whatever. But more importantly, we can address the fact that this is too much area. Why are you guys not available? Why is your ambulance not available? And then they just need to look at changing up the way they do their operations. But it is a big change for the county, all those volunteer departments, all the smaller cities, not even cities, but like Eagle Mountain and Briar Oaks, the smaller departments are now all under Tarrant County ESD. But as of, last June, there was 0 employees for the district, and now they've grown to this.
Also, with one of the changes, the prior contract was indicated we were obligated to answer the calls. We're not obligated anymore on this one. It is the responsibility of ESD 770 to make that response. We're truly helping. We're no longer, and the way I look at it, as the first responder, where we're obligated to make that service. We're going as a first responder to make sure the patient's good and ready to go, but our ambulance will stay here in the city. Even with that said, there are going to be times that we help, and that's every fire department, everybody in this whole country does that. But with this contract, it takes that responsibility off of us and puts it where it belongs, which is ESD. They have created their own fire and paramedic station, and they're taking that responsibility, and we're just here to help if needed.
Any more discussion? Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the contract for fire and EMS service to Tarrant County ESD 1.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Michaels, second by Kobach. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to line item 3, Briar Court Hillside Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project.
What do I need to do to get it up on the screen? I was gonna say it was just there. Okay, while she is helping me get this up on the screen, thanks for having me tonight, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. There we go. I'm here to talk about the Briar Court sanitary sewer improvements. Myself and Wally Latifi are the engineers that designed this project. We started on this project last year and we're working on it over the summer. And we are now ready to award it to a contractor. Quick overview of this project and the location. It's located in the Hillside neighborhood over by Arthur Intermediate School. It kind of backs up between the Oak Ridge Trail with that neighborhood that connects with Little School Road and the Hillside neighborhood. What this project encompasses is some sanitary sewer replacements. There's some bank stabilization of some of the creeks that are behind these homes, and there's some pavement work along Briar Court as well. Quick overview. This is the project. A lot of what we're doing is the sanitary sewer replacements. From what I've been told of the old utilities in this area is that they were undersized and they've kind of been put off for a while for the upsizing to what they need to be, and development has been tying into them. So there is a crossing over this creek bed that was only at an 8-inch diameter, and we're going to upsize it to 12 inches to match with the flows coming into it. Along with that, we're going to abandon what's green on the screen. We're going to abandon the sewer line that is currently running underneath a residence pool, and we will reroute that to connect with that yellow manhole we have shown on the screen. And we're going to replace some sewer along the Briar Court as well, which is why there will be a little bit of driveway and paving replacements within the court. To get over the creek bed that I mentioned, we're going to have an aerial crossing. Right now, that 8-inch sewer line that is bottlenecking the sanitary sewer in this area is an aerial crossing. This detail is put in the plans. We're going to have a support in the creek bed. It'll hold the pipe. We're proposing ductile iron pipe, which is going to be resistant to the elements, and that'll help convey the sanitary sewer from one side of the creek to the other. I mentioned briefly that this project is also going to have bake stabilization. If I go back to, I guess this image on the front of the screen, where that yellow line is located right there, that's what this photo is. City of Arlington was going through and doing maintenance, which they do on the sanitary sewer for the city of Kennedale. And they made it known to us that there was some erosion that happened last summer. And as you can see, that is a sanitary sewer pipe that we do not need to have exposed. And so with that, it somewhat delayed this project as we were ready to get this into construction in August, September timeframe of last year. And this was caught by City of Arlington right before we began our advertising process. That's something that we're going to get addressed in this project. If I go back a couple slides, that red 12-inch by open cut that connects to the yellow line, we're going to reroute that so that it actually has cover over it. And in our plans, we're going to stabilize that bank and add gabion walls, which really is a fancy name for a rock wall that'll be within a basket, and that'll be able to handle the water that flows from the neighborhood into this creek, which, by the way, this creek crossing we're talking about is that pond that's by Arthur. This is where this water flows into that pond. With that, before I get into the contractor discussion, is there any questions of just what this project will take care of why we are designing and going to construct this project? Yes, Councilman.
Just a quick one on your aerial pipe. What exactly is that made out of?
The aerial pipe will be ductile iron.
Okay.
And it'll be resistant to UV and any of the material, any of the elements will not affect the outside of the pipe.
Including like a 100-year flood, pushing like a lot of tree lines.
Correct. So that's the reason was the biggest constraint with this project, is that the 100-year flood does go above elevations of the sewer line. So it's not ideal, and keeping it in that ductile iron pipe, they'll be able to weld the joints together where it's exposed. We'll have a concrete support that will be formed around the pipe. We'll have a column going down into the ground, and we'll make sure that the appropriate footings are put in place, so that we don't have issues. As of right now, today, it's practically what's going on right now. It's just the issue is that it's only 8 inches and everything upstream of it is larger than that. So there's a lot more flow flowing over this crossing than what the current 8 inches should be carrying.
So if there is an issue, generally speaking, it'll be quick to fix and cheap.
It should be easier for maintenance and operations into the future, and it should be sized appropriately to handle the flows. And we're gonna replace manholes in this area as well. They're quite old and outdated. So there are gonna be better access to right downstream of it and right upstream of it. And with this larger pipe and with it being ductile iron, it's gonna be a lot easier to keep clean and maintained.
Now, obviously, there's evidence of erosion on there. By drilling down like we are instead of trenching, would that cause any issues in shifting? Is there mostly clay down there? Is there sand?
On a project like this, you don't typically go that deep into what type of soils you have around you. With this creek bed, I'm assuming we're dealing with a lot of rock. What we also have proposed is we're putting some erosion control, not only on the aerial crossing, but also that side bank that I showed this picture, that we were given by the city of Arlington. There was a lot of work put back into this. And so just the sanitary sewer portion of this project, we were ready to get bid out in August, and I had to put a pause on it and meet with Christian and City Manager Hull, and we discussed what needed to happen to help this bank stabilization. Had to get survey crews back out there, resurvey it. Took us about 2 months to get design, and we came back to them in February, getting ready to begin the advertising process, and got us to where we're at today.
And on the lastly, the erosion control, that's what Arlington's doing in their water system right now, which is the rocks that are covered with the metal to kind of slow down.
It's a common practice everywhere. Instead of just paving the world with concrete, because obviously concrete will hold everything. It's more expensive. There are rocks, and you can use these Gabion mattress. They're called Gabion block walls. And each one is a mattress. You basically put these mattresses throughout the side of the slope, and it helps stabilize it. It allows the water to move through it without creating erosion around it. And it should also help with slowing it down. Whereas concrete speeds water up through it, these block walls should try to help slow it down so that it keeps erosion from happening in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
Mhm.
So I noticed there was a reference to what's currently in place goes underneath someone's pool,
Correct. Yes.
and we're going to abandon that in place.
Correct. And so what that means by abandoning in place is that we will cap, there's going to be 2 manholes on the downstream side and the upstream side of this pool. We are going to remove those manholes and replace them. And once those are removed, that pipe that is actually underneath the pool, we are going to grout it so that it's completely full and it doesn't have a chance of collapsing in the future. It'll be completely grouted, and we'll put caps on the back ends of them, and it's going to be more, it's just going to be a concrete pipe underneath their pool, which
That
is
would take care of any potential concern about integrity issues under.
correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
it should now be a rigid structure under their pool that won't collapse in the future. Okay, moving on. We received a good amount of bids on this. I believe we had 7 total. The opinion of cost that myself and Wally put together was right under 850,000. We had a few bids that came in below that. Low bid being the A8 Development, A8 LLC, which we are moving forward with a award of contract tonight. Couple other contractors came in a little bit higher, and then we had some pretty high ones at 1.3 and 1.4 as well. But these were the contractors that bid on the project. Myself, City Manager Hull, and the Public Works team, both Stan and Christian, had a meeting with them, was it last week or the week before? We just met with them recently, talked to them about the project, let them know that This is in the middle of a creek bed, which they all knew this with bidding this project out, but discussed this being right on top of some residents' properties that a lot of extra care and due diligence is going to be needed. And we talked through all that with them, and we left the meeting feeling impressed with the contractors and ready to work with them. And with that, I'll move into what's next is that we will be holding a public meeting with the residents in the Briar Court area, and we'll use that as our pre-construction meeting as well. We've asked the contractor to show up so that not only can we discuss things with the contractor, but residents can talk to them as well. We felt this was an appropriate action for this project, being that some of these improvements are going to be behind people's homes. It's not going to just be right out in the right of way where everyone's going to be seeing what's going on. So we wanted to make sure that the transparency of who these contractors are working in these easements are going to be shared in the open with the residents that are going to be affected during the construction project. We've set a date, which me and Christian are going to work on a flyer to get to the residents that are directly affected by this project. We're aiming for Thursday, April 16th. Contractor has mentioned he's ready to mobilize in May. In the contract, we set a 5-month construction time to get all sanitary sewer, erosion, and paving improvements done in 5 months, and that can put us at a project completion at the end of September. And with that, I stand for any other questions or more discussions on this matter.
So 2 quick questions. For the residents whose driveway and looks like walkway are going to get trenched through, are we just going to saws the section out and then just cover it where they have like a old concrete and new concrete, or are we planning on ripping out their full driveway, full walkway and replacing it all so the concrete matches?
As of the way this project was bid and designed, we are doing panel replacements across those areas.
Do we know if that resident's been notified of that? Probably not. Okay. And then for the contractor A8 development, has Westwood used them before? Do you have any history with A8 development?
I have not worked with them before. No, sir.
Thank you.
Good question. I was going to ask that question, but we have to do lowest bid anyways, correct? By law.
No, we do
No.
not.
Okay. It's
No,
not one of
that's
them.
not correct.
It's the lowest bid with the requirement. They have to meet other requirements as well too.
Sure. My question was going to be, this is under the projection of what we thought it might cost, correct?
Correct.
What was the projection? Just refresh my memory.
850,000.
Thank you.
Yes, and we came in at about 650,000.
Just for the AA construction company, the city has done work and other city entities have done work with a project manager that works for A8. That's where a lot of the experience and knowledge is coming in, and one of the reasons why the selection was made for A8.
Any more questions? Okay, let's move forward. Anybody would like to make a motion?
Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make a motion that we approve the Briar Court Hillside Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project.
I will second.
Got a motion by Glover, second by Navarez. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank y'all.
Obviously, there's no executive session, so
I'll
this
make a motion
meeting's
we
adjourned
dismiss.
at 6:28.